Okay, hi everybody, how are you? My name's Michael Manna. I'm going to be recording this session. If you have an objection, let me know, but hopefully you won't, and they will not be seeing your face. When you ask a question, what I'd like to do is repeat it so that the people can hear it. I have a thing on here, because otherwise if you depend on the microphone over there, we'll never hear it. I have a handout I'm going to give you. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about me. My name is Michael Manna. I grew up in Ramsey. I went to Don Bosco High School. I went to Boston College. I was an accounting major. I graduated in 1970. I was seventh in my class. My mother was very happy. And I went to Boston College Law School, and I graduated in 1973. Anybody live here a long time, since prior to 1970? No. My dad used to own a restaurant on Route 17 in Ramsey. It was called the Tower of Pizza. It's where the, pardon me?
Great name.
Yeah, it actually had a leaning tower on it. And I washed like thousands of dishes there. Houlihan's is there now. And I didn't want to go to college. My father said, well, you don't have to go to college, just stay here and wash dishes. So college looked better. Okay, so in any event, I went to college. I went to law school. I graduated in 73. I was in the top 10%. She was happy again. I went to work for a CPA firm, which is now called KPMG. They're the third largest CPA firm in the world. I worked in the tax department doing nothing but estates and trusts. I left there, and I have been practicing law in both New York and New Jersey for the last 47 years, 46 of which in my own office in Ridgewood. I've been there for 46 years. I have been teaching this course on and off since about 1985. I've taught it in Ridgewood since 1976. It's supposed to go a year. It's supposed to go an hour and a half. We're supposed to take a 20-minute break. If it's okay with you, I'd rather go without the break, get out 20 minutes early. My only rule is if you have a question, please ask it as you have it. I find most people forget them. If I ask them to hold it till later. If it's going to take too long or you have too many questions, I'll be happy to stay afterwards and answer your questions then. Okay. What I'd like to do first is I just want to tell you two things really quickly, because people keep on asking me this all the time, and so I'm going to try to put this before. I usually don't talk about this, but I want to talk about these two things, okay? One is elder abuse, financial, physical, etc. I want to talk to you a little bit about elder law, financial abuse, okay? A lot of the elderly, they get older, they become dependent on someone for their care, whether it's a child, could be a caretaker, somebody that the kids hired, whatever, and this person then takes over the situation. The badges of elder abuse are these people try to prevent the other family members from having access to the person. They start try to keep them sequestered, tell them the family doesn't contact them because they don't love them, and then tries to persuade them to do things like change their will or take money out and give money to this particular person. And there was a case in New Jersey. It's a seminal case. It's called the Haynes case. I want to write this down for you. Haynes, Haynes, the Haynes case. If you Google Haynes and undue influence or duress, this is the seminal case in New Jersey that deals with this. It says if you are a caretaker, the person is dependent on you for your care, you have a very special relationship with this person, similar to a priest and a penitent, a lawyer and a client, a doctor and a patient, in that you can very subtly affect what this person can do, and you have to be careful that you don't abuse that position. And if you're a caretaker and there's a suspicious transaction, what is a suspicious transaction? It's when wealth flows to the caretaker in an unexpected manner. So mom's got 3 kids. She leaves everything equally to the 3 kids. She then moves in. She gets older. She moves in with child A. All of a sudden, she changes her will and leaves everything to child A, or she deeds the house over to child A, or something like that. That certainly is what the Supreme Court would call a suspicious transaction. It's something that wouldn't normally occur. All you have to show is that you are the person is the caretaker, and this is a suspicious transaction, and there's a presumption of undue influence or duress, okay? And unless the person who's the caretaker can rebut that presumption, they have to give the stuff back. And Mrs. Haynes had that problem with one of her daughters. We'll call her the bad daughter. She moved in with the bad daughter. There was no question that Mrs. Haynes was competent. This is what makes this a very interesting case. And she knew what she was doing, but she told her lawyer that, she wanted, her daughter takes very good care of her. And she doesn't want to do anything to get her daughter upset because she may not take care of her, although she was never threatened. Okay? And the lawyer said he didn't feel comfortable doing it. And the bad daughter said, well, if you don't do it, I'll get somebody else to do it. And of course, she did what all bad daughters do. They got their own lawyer, who'd been their lawyer for years, goes to see Mrs. Haynes, does the will. The vast bulk of the estate to her, dies later. The other family members sue, goes all the way to the Supreme Court in New Jersey, and they came out with this edict that I just told you. If you're a caretaker and there's a suspicious transaction, there is a presumption of undue influence. I hope you don't mind me talking quickly, but there's a lot of stuff I'd like to get through today. Unless that presumption is rebutted, they have to undo those suspicious transactions. And so the bad daughter in that particular case said, well, Mom had a lawyer. And he explained to her exactly what he was going to do. And the Supreme Court said that lawyer was not independent. Who was that lawyer really representing? He had represented the bad daughter in many transactions beforehand. Who knows where his loyalty lay? He did wind up representing the estate, so he got some business out of it by being nice to the bad daughter. And they said that he had an obligation to disclose his conflict of interest to Mrs. Haynes and to tell her what all the potential difficulties could be hiring him. And they said they didn't even know if that was possible, but he never even tried. And so that doesn't rebut the presumption. And they ordered that the money be given to the other family members, which I believe, don't hold me to this, but I believe it was about $750,000. And by this time, it took 7 years for it to get up to the Supreme Court. The bad daughter had either secreted or spent most of the money. She only had $500,000 left. So the Supreme Court said the lawyer, who got, I think, $600 to do the will, had to come up with the other $250 because he committed malpractice. Not only that, but they said he acted unethically because he did not disclose the conflict of interest. And they said that they would, in addition, refer it to the ethics committee for him to be disciplined. But because it was the case of first impression, never happened before, they're not going to do that. He just has to cough up the money. But they said, we're drawing a line in the sand. We want every lawyer in New Jersey to understand this law, okay? And because this is going to happen to you if you fall into this trap. And I will tell you, I teach lawyers in both New York and New Jersey, and I am stupefied by how many lawyers don't know anything about this case, okay? So you should just know that if you feel that you're being closed out from a family member or something like that, okay? I could go into other horror stories, but I don't want to waste the time because I want to get on to the second topic. Does anybody have any questions about the Haynes case? Okay.
Is that person Marie's?
Maurice Helmy is my partner. Yes, that person is Maurice Helmy. She's 37 years old, very, very bright, very hardworking, and she has a very high moral character, which is, to me, the most important thing. And she or I would handle. My job usually is to get the initial consultations with the clients, decide which ones we take, which ones we don't, what kind of a fee arrangement it's going to be. And remember, this initial visit is completely on the house, and then give you a fee agreement. You take it home, you decide what you want to do. A lot of these things are life-changing decisions. I don't expect anybody to make the initial decision when they first come in. And I usually like them to come back, or maybe we have a Zoom or something with all the kids and the parents so everybody knows what we're going to do. Okay.